So Rideology is a workshop that I created to help people get on top with confidence, control, and stamina. And people think, oh, my size matters. And it doesn't. It really doesn't.
This sort of stuff can also really apply to just, to people as their bodies change. If they've had injuries or they're getting older and stuff, just learning how to literally throw your weight around.
Absolutely. And even the young folks or slim folks, straight size folks, because if they do it now before they get hurt, then they might not get hurt. You know what I'm saying? And the thing that I love the most about it is that it does change lives. And I mean, people will walk up to me crying, because it's just, I teach from the perspective of the person performing the act. And I try to frame it in a way that they can embrace the pleasure for themselves, right? And so I don't just teach women. I have like an oral sex on a vulva class. I have a strokeology class as well for people that wear strap-ons and people with penises. And it's interesting because when we have these conversations about pleasure, the global conversation about pleasure is penis-shaped. So I really try to give the power back to the person that's doing the thing, because if you're enjoying it, your partner's probably going to enjoy it too. And that adds to your confidence.
I'm Cindy Darnell. Welcome to The Erotic Philosopher, the podcast where we examine and explore sex and relationships through social, personal, cultural, scientific, political, and other lenses, and unpack and explore your erotic quandaries with the world's wisest erotic philosopher. Welcome back to Season 4 of The Erotic Philosopher, the podcast where we explore life, sex, and modern relationships with some of the world's wisest erotic philosophers. My name is Cindy Darnell. I'm a sexologist, sex and relationships therapist and coach, and of course, the host of The Erotic Philosopher. I'm also the author of Sex When You Don't Feel Like It, the truth about mismatched libido and rediscovering desire. You can find out more about me at my website, cindydarnell.com. Before we jump into today's interview, I want to tell you about a new project I'm working on, my online subscription community, where you can learn more about the issues that we tackle here on The Erotic Philosopher, be they relational, personal, sexual, and beyond. So many of us need help and support to make sense of our complicated lives and relationships these days. So this new online community serves as a portal to learn more from me and from others as we dive into the issues most important to us in creating meaningful lives and fulfilling sex. You'll see more on my website, cindydarnell.com, under the Community tab. Today's guest is an absolute delight, and I am thrilled to introduce you to Goody Howard. Goody is an award-winning sexologist, educator, and consultant. She provides pleasure development and professional development workshops worldwide. Her authentic and enthusiastic presentation style allows her audiences to connect quickly to the concept and enjoy learning about sexual health, pleasure, and human variance equity. She makes pleasure-inclusive, comprehensive sex education accessible, intentional, and fun. While Goody's pleasure-focused offerings are her most popular classes, she also teaches relevant career development workshops for educators, social workers, healthcare providers, and more. In this interview, Goody and I talk about her evolution into the work of pleasure-focused sex education, how her background has moved her along, and within the obstacles she has had to face to create pleasure-focused inclusive trainings for adults around the world. We learn about how her transformational Rideology workshops are flipping the script on tired old positions classes, and we get real deep, taking a look at who pleasure is really for in the Goody Gang. Enjoy today's discussion with Goody Howard. Goody Howard, welcome to The Erotic Philosopher. It's so lovely to finally meet you across the internet.
Right, thank you. It's so nice to meet you too. I know we had to get here, so I'm excited to finally be here.
We had to get here, and we are here, and you're here, I'm here, and you look fabulous.
Thank you. So do you. I love the little shoulder situation.
Oh, thanks. I always like to, because I do so many of these, I always like to try and wear something different, but I'm not like, Princess Diana with an endless wardrobe of stuff. So I've got to rotate what I've got. And and just make sure it works, But if anybody's listening who's like, I want to donate dresses to Cindy, please send them my way. And to Goody, maybe you want to get some dresses.
No, ma'am. I have 5 rolling racks of clothes in my garage.
Oh, really? All right, then.
We call it the clorage. That is the clorage.
Oh,
it is the closet garage.
I get it.
That was my coping skill during the pandemic, was buying clothes.
Oh, nice.
For when we go back outside, which I still don't go outside.
Do you have an account on Poshmark?
I don't, because that's designer stuff. I'm not a designer girl.
Okay.
I very much, and they don't have a lot of plus size stuff on Poshmark.
No.
And I can't, because they don't have my size. But I am very much a online shopper. I do a lot of Black owned brands globally. I do a lot of Shein. Like I have things for like just in case. Like if someone's like, oh, it's a black and white party. Oh, it's a red party. Oh, it's sequins and sneakers. Right. I'll go to the sequins section of the closet. Like,
wow,
sequins and tulle are a neutral to me. Like,
that's how I feel about leopard print. That's a neutral.
Me too. Oh my God, leopard and army print are my favorite neutrals. They are my favorite neutrals. Exactly. You do have it on the coffee cup. You do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. My entire apartment is decked out in leopard print. So, Goody, before we kind of get into the bulk of your work, which is fabulous and entertaining and really tender as well, apart from having a garage full of clothes, what would you like folks to know about you?
I love, I don't get a lot of downtime. So, your people, the self-care of it all. My self-care is watching HGTV. I like it because there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. I get to watch a beautiful transformation of a space. People are happy, so it gives me all the happy emotions. And so a lot of times people say, oh, I go to the spa. Oh, I go get, mani-pedi, and, for their self-care. My self-care is watching episodic HGTV.
Fantastic. I think in this era, especially, all of us coming out of the other side of COVID, to have routines that we can rely on to get us through is so fundamental. So, Goody, I want to, introduce folks to you who have perhaps never heard about you, and even those who have, around the world who may not know, about you and your context and really sort of how you got into this work. And then I want to have a discussion with you about how it's situated being a woman of color in the United States, in the South, who talks very explicitly about sex. This is a very special, gift that you bring to the world. So before we get to that part, let's talk about how did you get into teaching sexuality to adults?
Well, honestly, it's been lifelong. If I'm being honest, I've always been the freaky friend, the friend that people always come to about sex or questions or relationships. And I love to learn. I love to learn. So if someone would ask me a question and I didn't know, I would go look it up. And I'm talking about card catalog, microfiche, like I'm older than Google, So I had to get in there and kind of learn, and it just became a rabbit hole. I grew up in a very sex positive household, meaning that we learned about sex. We were aware. We were taught about it. My mother is a nurse, so we got the medical explanation and the body parts and all of that. But it was a very body negative household. And so having a bigger body and all of that was very, frowned upon. It was all this stigma and isms around that. But we were taught about sexuality, or about sex, the mechanics of sex. And so that's kind of what made me the freaky friend, because I just always had the answers because my mother taught me, that part of of sexuality. And I've always been like a business person. I always sold stuff. I've always been a hustler, selling candy and, all of that. And so I used to do accounting. And when I was in college, yes, full time, yes.
Wow.
It's such a transition. But in college, I started going to this lady's toy parties. And, you get the same lady doing all your friends' parties. And she was like, the feedback you're giving, the questions you're asking, you should be doing this. And I was like, I hate people and I hate sales. But I was like, I don't want to. I said, but I'll have a party for you. And so I had a party for her, and she came and she did her thing. And that's back when you would get a kickback if you had a certain number of sales in your party.
Right.
And she was like, well, you made this much money, but I want to put some of my money with it because we're having a sale on kits. And I want to get you a starter kit to get you in business. And this is a Black woman. And I'm like, if this Black woman wants to invest in me and see something in me that maybe I don't see. I was coming out of a bad breakup. I was looking for something new. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And it's basically Mary Kay for dildos. I don't know if you know what Mary Kay is.
Yes, I do.
You know what I'm saying? It's Tupperware, like Tupperware for dildos.
Avon,
and Avon, yes, Amway, all of the things. And so, and actually, Mary Kay is based in Dallas, which is where I live. Yes. Oh my God. But anyway, so I knew that I had to differentiate myself from the people doing what I was doing. So I started adding little, oral sex tips and position tips and stuff like that. And people were like, I pay for this without the sex toy. And my bachelor's is in business. So I was like, ding, so I started to kind of flesh out workshops. And then I cross-sell the toys in the workshop, of course. But the behavior is what I wanted to focus on. And so my blowjob class came out of that process. The dick riding class came out of that process. And then I realized that the company I was working for, I was doing parties for, they were just trying to like move product. It wasn't about education. It wasn't about, empowerment. And so again, bachelor's in business. So I did my own research and got my own wholesalers here domestically and started just doing parties myself, with my own, inventory and doing the workshops and stuff. And so that's what I've been doing. And I've been doing this work for 17 years. I've been doing it full time for 7 years.
Okay.
And I've been doing it online for 4 years.
Okay.
So
wow.
that's
a real, yeah. That's a real dedication to the craft. I love it.
Oh yeah. And I didn't even become like, I've been profitable for that 17 years. But I didn't get to where it was like this, I could quit my job. Like, and what happened was I found this group called the Women of Color Sexual Health Network. It's pronounced WACSHN. Had no idea it was a thing. I get in this group, this Facebook group. These women are paying their grown lady bills with what I'm doing. And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't have to have a corporate job. So I, and I used to get in trouble because my hair has been natural for 20 years. So I had a big old afro. I'm in accounting, wearing all these colors and stuff. I get in trouble for being a distraction because my clothes and my hair and stuff. And I was just like, this is stupid. So when I realized that I could make money and just pay my own bills this way, I started interviewing the women that were in the group and what their educational backgrounds were and all of that. A lot of them had Masters of Social Work. A lot of them had Masters of Public Health. The public health girls wanted more social work stuff. Social work girls wish they had more public health stuff. So I went and got a Master of Social Work. My day job would not support my schedule change. And so my partner was like, fuck that job. I had just had my daughter. She's 7 now. I had just had my daughter. I was so stressed at my job, my milk had dried up.
Oh, no.
I was nursing my child. My milk dried up. I was so stressed. And he was like, fuck that job. And I was like, you right. And he supported us while I went to school. And then I was getting a grad certificate in public health with my Master's of Social Work. And then while I was in the program, they fleshed it out to an entire degree. So I was like, yes, sign me up for that shit. So I finished my MSW and went right into my MPH. And I was the first person to graduate with a Master's of Public Health from my college. Like I graduated by myself.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank
How did that
you.
feel?
It was awesome. I mean, it was May 2020, so it was on Zoom. But they spent like a good 5 minutes, talking about me and my work. And so basically their program, I was the guinea pig. So all the paperwork, all of the processes, I brought some stuff from the social work side and kind of gave them documentation and stuff. And so they created like an award called the Maverick Trailblazer Award for me. And I got to come back and give it to the next graduate.
Oh, wow, year. That's fantastic.
It's amazing. They want me to come back and teach, but you got to have a PhD to teach public health at that college. And so I am getting a PhD, but I put a pin in it when my father died. But I'm going to start back. And so it's just been a roller coaster of finding myself. I use my business degree every day, and just kind of finding my voice, figuring out how to get around the censorships, figuring out how to get my offer in front of more people. I have done some work globally. And so I love, the pandemic has given us that. that, you know, the internet has made the world smaller. People find out social media specifically has made the world smaller. So I've definitely been blessed. The soft benefits of the pandemic, we don't talk about that a lot. But definitely, like I said, when I've been doing this full time for 7 years and online for 4. So this has just been a whirlwind, and I love that my children get to see me living my dreams.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And it's to see you being a role model about talking about sex for a living, first of all, being a woman doing it, being a woman of color doing it, and then being a woman of color living in the South doing it. Working in the South, because, obviously I know as a woman and working in this field, there's a whole lot of shit we have to deal with. That's one piece of it. You have the extra layers of being Black and being in the South.
Yes. Oh, wait. No, being Black, being fat, and being in the South. Because that's a whole another layer of discrimination.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
People don't really, get into either. Honestly, it has been a unique journey. I definitely lean into my education. I have the privilege of education. And so I always lead with, my name is Goody Howard, MSW, MPH. My pronouns are she, her, and boss. And I don't code switch, and I cuss a little bit. And that's what they get in these trainings that I'm teaching, because I do pleasure development and professional development. I do basically DE&I work for sex, gender, orientation, and equity for educators, social workers, and healthcare professionals, in addition to my pleasure stuff that I do for everybody. So I lead and lean into my degrees, because that helps people sit down and be quiet. Because the thing about being a sexuality educator, which I'm sure you're aware of, is that because it's sex, right? Because everyone's having sex, they think they can do our job. I'm like, no, pumpkin. That's like going to a 5-star Michelin restaurant and thinking because you eat the food, you can cook the food.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous. You sound dumb. But the thing is, when I lead with the degrees that really are not sexuality specific, but every assignment I had, I walked through, sexuality, the lens of sexuality. When I lead with that, people tend to be more respectful and have more reverence.
Yeah. And that, this is the thing that when we're talking about sex in public, we do need to lean on those things. And then with the specific intersections that you're talking about being fat and being Black and being in the South, that these are these extra things where I imagine it's almost like you have to fight that extra bit harder to be taken seriously.
Oh, absolutely. My femininity is performative. Like I have to show up dressed. Like I said, I have racks of clothes. I have to show up dressed a certain way. There's a level of performative femininity that fat women have to do to even be seen as women, to even be seen and taken seriously, And then I don't know how to wear makeup. I don't know how to do any of that. If you see me in makeup, it was applied by a professional. You know what I'm saying? Right now, I have red lipstick on, and I wear a red lip everywhere, but my eyebrows are microbladed on. So that's a thing. So I don't have to worry about that. And I have pretty good skin. So I don't have to I don't know how to wear makeup. But there's a level of performative femininity that's expected from a fat person, from a fat woman or fat femme. That's not expected from a straight size woman. And so I have that layer. I have the layer of, okay, they see this Black person. They may not lean to the fact that I'm the most educated person or I'm the expert in the room on the subject. Yeah. They may discount me in some way. I've definitely been in spaces where I was keynoting and someone has asked me for a drink.
Oh.
So, I mean, bruh, I'm on the program. My face is right thick. It's definitely unique. And like I said in my intro, I say I don't code switch and I cuss a little bit. I let them know they're going to get this profanity and these master's degrees, because code switching is inherently something that Black Americans tend to have to do to be taken seriously in non-Black spaces. Right? And I'm not doing it. And actually, I taught a workshop and this white woman came up to me in tears because she was code switching and didn't even realize, because she was from the South and, she had a Southern drawl and she was from the mountains. And so she's like, if I code switch at work because I don't want them to think I'm a hillbilly, because they're going to think I'm dumb because of how I sound.
Uh-huh.
So she didn't even realize, not just, unique to ethnic groups or people that speak languages other than English, it's absolutely something that even white people deal with, depending on where they're from. Now, and another thing, especially in America, if I was a black person with a British accent, if I was a black person with a French accent, I would be taken completely seriously.
Right.
Because I'm an exotic Negro.
Oh. So there's that pecking order that you experience in particular.
Absolutely.
As a black woman living in the United States who's American.
Correct.
Is a whole different lived experience for you than a person of color who maybe looks like you but has a different accent.
Correct. And and they don't know. So they may be mishandled as well until they speak to someone. And then there's this fascination, this American fascination with non-American things that, there's a level of sophistication that's added to that. So they get the benefit. Now they still are going to experience, racism, colorism, bigotry, all of the things, but it's going to be a little sweeter. It's going to be a little softer, because there's a level of sophistication assigned to that. And so I don't code switch. I make my language plain. I try to make it as accessible as possible. I don't gender my language. Because I want everyone that I'm talking to hear themselves in what I'm saying. And so a lot of times men and women and ladies and gentlemen and blah, 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 I don't do that. And so that has helped me. But to be able to get in the door in the first place has been the struggle.
Yeah. And despite all of this, it sounds like you've done it and you're continuing to do it. I imagine it's still a struggle maybe or a fight or just a constant thing of needing to be diligent around this stuff because this bullshit, we're all swimming in it and you especially are impacted by it more than...
I would say yes, but also like once I get into a certain system, they see what I can do. They see how I move. They respect it. They value it. They appreciate my authenticity. And so that gets me into spaces. The degrees help me. My business degree helps me specifically because I know what language I need to type in. Like I know what keywords I need to use for different areas to get into this space, right? So I know that if I'm talking to the staff director for the nursing home and I'm getting ready to try to pitch them to do a training for nursing home staff around sexually active seniors and sex positive response, right? I know that I need to focus on how the quality of life and addressing the personhood of residents is important and how sexuality is a part of the total, package of personhood and blah, blah, blah. So I know what language to use for them to pay attention. They might not expect a little black girl when I show up.
Yeah, right. Okay.
But when I'm pitching, now they do because my media kit is attached to my stuff. But it's very much, she knows what she's talking about. She knows her stuff. And I'm able to kind of circumvent that. But also because, like I said, people think because they're having sex, they can do our jobs. Or people think that pleasure is a luxury. Because I'm definitely a pleasure educator, a pleasure professional. And people hear pleasure and it feels like excess. It doesn't feel like it's on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You know what I'm saying? And so that the pitch has to include that and make that real for people. And so I've definitely gotten better at being able to do that.
Right.
And the more I do it, it gets easier.
Right. Because you sort of get your momentum up and then you learn how people respond, which makes me sort of think about then, especially in the South. I haven't spent a lot of time down there, a little bit, but not nearly as much, obviously, as yourself. How do people respond in the South when they hear that not only that you're teaching about sex, but that you're coming from a pleasure perspective? What's the response from people?
It's changed over the years because society is kind of catching up. It used to be people ask me, was I a sex worker? Shout out to sex workers because sex work is work. People ask me about the sex worker.
Yeah.
People would be like, you need to, because these kids need to know. And I was like, no, I actually teach adults. Like I do teach like young adults, like high school. And I talk to parents about parenting young children from a sex positive perspective, but I don't deal with other people's kids. So it's been a lot of that. But now the narrative is, the response is kind of shifting to, oh, that's amazing. So what part do you do? Or how do you do that? Or how did you get into that? Or so people are actually genuinely curious. It used to be, and even still sometimes now, people hear what I do and they try to have sex. They try to like have sex with me, or they try to proposition me because the sexologist must be out here fucking. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, no, that's sex work, or that's a somatic sex educator, and I am not that. So that's a teaching moment for people. But honestly, the reaction has gotten a lot more. It's shifted from judgment and maybe confusion or disdain to curiosity, to how can that help my business? Because they don't expect me, because I talk about sex like it's Tupperware, and the casualness with which I have these conversations, people are like, oh my God. It didn't dawn on them because I'm so casual about it and I'm so matter of fact that they're like, oh wow, this is actually, there's science and whole shit, right? They're like, oh my gosh, this is actually a thing. So because like I said, practice makes proficient. And because I've been doing this for so long, I'm a lot more comfortable in the way I approach it with people. I've become a lot more succinct in the way I tell people what I do. Because there was a time when I would just tell people I was in public health.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm the same. Like, I've been doing this for a bazillion years, and I agree. Like, in my experience also, society has changed a bit, but there are certain parts of the world where it's still not okay to talk about this, and it's still, people still get a bit kind of clutching their pearls or looking down their nose, or whatever it is. And then especially when you add in a bit of color and a bit of language and a bit of whatever, and you start talking about sex that's queer sex, or sex that's not about making babies, or having sex by yourself and all this kind of stuff, people still get their knickers in a bunch about that.
Very much so. And then even the people that consider themselves sex positive, I love to have conversations with people that consider themselves sex positive. And I say, okay, you're sex positive. What does that mean to you? And they tell me some, woo-woo, feely, definition. And I'm saying sex positivity is operating in spaces around sexuality conversations without shame or stigma. So that means that you're not yucking anyone else's yum, and you have a cultural relativist perspective instead of a ethnocentric perspective about other people's things. So it's like, if you're really sex positive, I call it the clit cutting test. We have a conversation.
Did you say clit cutting? No.
Clit cutting.
You did. Yes, you did say that, right?
I did. I call it the clit cutting test, because people that say they're sex positive and want to be like, yeah, they think they can do my job, right? And I say, okay, well, what are your views on clitoral circumcision? And they said, oh, you mean female genital mutilation? I was like, no, I don't. I mean clitoral circumcision, because that's what it is. Western society has called it female genital mutilation, but it is a culturally significant happening that people consent to. Now, some people don't, but some people consent to this as a part of their culture. We don't have a problem with penal circumcision, which is not a thing that occurs in most of the world. We're good with that. We don't call that male genital mutilation, which is what it is. Right? And so then they have to sit with their thought processes around something that simple. Right? And if they pass that one, then we get to talk about gender and gender identity and their positions about trans folks and queer folk and non-binary folks. Right? So it's like people think they have this sex positive view, but then when you have actual conversations about what that looks like in action, they realize they need me.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I hope are very grateful that they have access.
Absolutely. And then we talk about, hiring and pricing and things because it's people are really, they're trying. A lot of people want to do better, especially for the viewpoint of wanting to do better for their children. They realize that they have a certain level of hurt and repression as a result of how they were raised, and they don't want to perpetuate that, or they don't want to perpetuate that in their business or what have you. And so I'm grateful for the fact that society is shifting, but it's again, like you said, shifting slowly.
Yeah. Glacial, I think. At times.
I thought that was the word that came to mind. It's at a glacial pace. Slow as molasses in the wintertime.
Exactly. I hope you're enjoying this episode of The Erotic Philosopher as much as I enjoy bringing it to you. I love being able to introduce these guests from around the world to you, and in return, it would help me enormously if you would go to Apple
or wherever you listen to podcasts and leave The Erotic Philosopher a rating and review. Your labor there helps this podcast land in front of people's eyes and ears, and what better way to help create a more inclusive and supportive world than spreading more information to more people, and you'd be doing a great favor to me too. If you would like to find out more about working with me, head over to my website, that's cindydarnell.com, where you'll see my offerings as a therapist or coach for a streamlined and personalized service, plus my online pleasure school under the online courses tab, where you'll find a suite of pre-recorded classes ready to go. There's something there for everyone. You'll also find my online community under the community tab, where you can join me and others just like you navigate the topics we discuss here on The Erotic Philosopher and so much more. There's no shame in needing support to better understand these complex parts of our lives, and I am here to support you every step of the way. We're also on Instagram and Twitter at The Erotic Philos, that's Philos. You can also follow me on social media. I am at Cindy, CYNDI _DARNELL on Instagram, TikTok, and on Twitter. Thanks for joining us here today, and now let's get back to the episode.
Goody, let's talk about one of your offerings that, you know, I've seen bits and pieces of on the social medias called Rideology, which I love the concept of it. And then I think I saw yesterday even some clips of folks at a workshop, and it looks like you're in a dance studio or a school gym or something, and there's, you know, a big open floor space and lots of people doing stuff. I'm not going to describe what I saw. Tell people what's happening at these Rideology classes. I think it looks amazing, and I want to come to one.
Yes, please. Listen, where are you? Where do you live?
New York.
Oh yeah, I'm coming. I don't just
really?
know. I'm Southern on purpose. But when it warms up, I'm coming. That's already on the map. So Rideology is a workshop that I created over 10 years ago to help people get on top with confidence, control, and stamina. Because what the inbox was like, okay, I need to know how to get on top. I'm a big girl, blah, blah, blah. And people think, you know, oh, my size matters. And it doesn't. It really doesn't. I did this in person at Sex Down South this year, and I had a woman of size. Like, I don't want to guess how much she weighed, but she was a large one. She'd be considered like a BBW. And she was concerned about partnering with someone, because in the workshop, I make people partner up and we try the positions out so that you can feel it in your body, so that you know how it feels different than how you were riding dick before you got here. Mm-hmm. Because the stamina, right? The stamina is important, being comfortable. And so I said, well, you can try with me because I'm the teacher, I'm the professional in the room. So I lay down and she gets on top and she's trying to like hold herself. And I was like, no. Move your feet up. Like I, helped her position her body. And she's like, oh my gosh. And she's like, this is actually comfortable for me. And she's like, am I hurting you? And I was like, girl. And I started like moving my legs and like bouncing her up. And I was like, you're not hurting me. And so we had a moment, like we both cried a little bit because she never really felt like she could get on top and not, be hurting her partner or be comfortable in her body. And that's why I do it. So my inbox is full of my knees, my back. How do I get up and stay up? He wants me to ride, but why? Like, I don't want to do it. And so I am the person that I created this workshop for. So I took into consideration impact on the knees and back. I took into consideration the size of the dick or dildo being ridden. I took into consideration range of motion, the size of the person on top, the size of the person on bottom. Okay.
Because also too, if the dick haver or the dick wearer is a person of size and they've got a larger belly, that kind of stuff, that matters. Impact.
That matters, and that range of motion is going to be impacted as a result. And so I teach people how to ride dick with their vagina, their anus, or how to caress two vulvas together. Every single position I teach can be used for all of that. And so, like I said, I don't teach, I don't have a binary way of teaching. I teach behaviors because people don't think it's riding dick. And men, oh my God, cisgender, heterosexual men. They're like, Goody, can I come to the dick riding class? Exhale. It's the exhale, because they know. They trying me. They're like, can I come to the dick riding class? Yeah, if you're trying to ride some dick. I very much have multiple genders in the class, but they're interested in learning the behavior I'm teaching. You see what I'm saying? So I have men in the class. I have non-binary. Oh my God. There was one I had, my trans friend and his wife came to the workshop. And when I saw them the next day, they were like, my back hurts because you didn't tell me. It was like, no, this is my back. Like, I'm sore because we did so much fucking last night with these new positions that we learned. Like, this was a game changer. And so I use science to explain pleasure. So I'm always talking about science and whole shit. And the whole point of what I'm teaching people is like, when you shift your weight or when you change the way your weight is distributed, it changes the comfort of being on top, which means you can stay up there longer. Depending on your position, you can control how much dick you're getting. So if the dick is too big or the dick is too little, you can control all of that. We teach letters of the alphabet. And I'm like, bigger J, bigger dick, bigger J. Smaller dick, smaller J. You see what I'm saying?
Wow.
So we talk about all of these different things. And so people feel so empowered. And that gives you the confidence. Because now you know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you were riding down before, but you weren't comfortable with it. You know, you get up for 20 seconds, your knees start popping, your check engine light come on. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are not happy up there. And so the goal is to get you in a position where you feel confident, you have control, and you can get up there and stay up there. That's the whole point. And I love it because, so with the snippets that you saw, part of that is I teach all different ways how people learn. So visual, audio, and tactile. And so in the in-person workshops, you are partnering up with other people. And I tell people, bring your friends, because you're going to make a new friend today. You know, if you didn't bring nobody with you, you're going to be humping on a stranger. And we switch, and I walk around and kind of help people get in the right positions and all of that. And if they're not comfortable, because I live in a consent culture regardless, if you're not comfortable partnering with a stranger, you can partner with me. Because I'm the teacher in the room, I'm the expert in the room, and because it's very important for you to at least try one position, so that you can just feel in your body how it's different than how you were riding dick before. And the people that are kind of hesitant, they try with me one position, and they're like, "Oh, bitch, I'm doing all of them. I'm not even going. I got to do all of them because this feels so different. This feels like I can ride dick all day if I wanted to." You know what I'm saying? So at that point, they're like, "Okay, I'm definitely down to be more interactive in this space." And what I love about really all the workshops, whether they're online or in person, every class builds their own little community. By the time they leave, they change phone numbers and email addresses. They follow each other on social media. Like, it's a beautiful thing to see. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to see. And so I love being a part of community building in that way. I love when I see people that have taken my workshops and I see them with their partners out places. Oh my gosh. I've gotten gifts.
I'm sure.
I mean, they're like, thank you. Like, they were no slouch before, but like the confidence just changed the game. And, it's just, it resonates with the partners. I've gotten Tiffany keychains. I've gotten, just random cash apps. Like, it's a beautiful thing to see that we are closing the pleasure gap. Cause that's the whole point of everything I do. I say, before I launch something new, before I create a new workshop, before I design a new t-shirt, I say, how is this closing the pleasure gap?
Mm-hmm. And you're changing people's lives with this stuff. And I was thinking, actually, as I was listening to you talk, it made me think that as I've gotten older, I've gained, quite a bit of weight, which I'm fine with, but my body is much bigger than it used to be. And additionally, I've got really bad knees now because I'm over 50 and that's just how it rolls. And so doing stuff that I used to, be good at, I'm not good at anymore, or I can do it for a couple of minutes and then it hurts. And so I'm sort of thinking this sort of stuff can also really apply to just, to people as their bodies change. If they've had injuries or they're getting older and stuff, just learning how
and even the little young people,
literally throw your weight around.
Absolutely. And even the young folks or slim folks, straight size folks, because if they do it now, before they get hurt, then they might not get hurt. You know what I'm saying? I'm in Texas. I'm a cheerleader at heart. Like, I was a cheer coach up until a week before I had my son. Like, cheerleading is a sport in Texas. There was no off season. So I have a bad knee and a bad back because it's a thing. And so I actually am my priority population for when I designed this workshop. And the thing that I love the most about it is that it does change lives. And I mean, people will walk up to me crying. like, because it's just, I teach from the perspective of the person performing the act. So a lot of times we think, okay, I gotta ride dick. I gotta suck dick. I gotta eat pussy. I gotta, whatever. And not from the fact that I get to, right? And I try to frame it in a way that they can embrace the pleasure for themselves, especially for femmes, because femmes are socialized to maintain our pleasure for our partner. Right? And so I don't just teach women. I have like an oral sex on a vulva class. I have a strokeology class as well for people that wear strap-ons and people with penises. And it's interesting because when we have these conversations about pleasure, the global conversation about pleasure is penis shaped.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I really try to give the power back to the person that's doing the thing, because if you're enjoying it, your partner is probably going to enjoy it too. And that adds to your confidence. And so that I've had guys like, yeah, teach them how to satisfy their man. No, that's not what I'm doing. I don't give a fuck about satisfying you. That's not my goal. My goal is that whoever is fucking you is enjoying it also.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's just shifting that perspective right over.
It really, really is. And that's what I love about what I do. And so I mean, people see Rideology, and I'm sure that that workshop really picked up when I started sharing snippets, because I didn't used to share like what happened in the workshops. I used to post a flyer and that's what it is. Right. Now I have like little commercials that I do, little reels and stuff on social media.
Well, I had been following your work regardless, but then I saw these videos, and it was only just this week. And because I had seen you talk about Rideology, but I hadn't sort of paid as much attention. No disrespect, but I just hadn't. And then I saw the video version of these people doing stuff, and then it really caught me. And I was like, this is something I want to know about. What are they doing here? It looked amazing. And people were smiling and laughing and crawling around and just having a great old time. And it just made me think. And then seeing you there in your little booty shorts and the whole thing. And I was just like, I want to come to this class. I thought.
Well, see, I had the shorts on because the thigh socks are from another colleague of ours. Her name is Samaya Burton. She runs Sexual Essentials. And she has a thigh sock line that she just launched. And I love thigh socks. And she sent them to me, and I was like, bitch, I'm wearing them everywhere. So it was like a cross promotion thing, because I believe in collaboration and not competition. And the snippets really do grab attention. And so what I've been doing now is I'm going to actually do a tour in 2023, because, COVID, I'm mindful of the public health climate, but, doing the different cities and things, because, and even when I go, like I did a Texas takeover tour to kind of beta test it. People that have taken the class online are showing up to take it in person, because it's different when you're in the room.
Right. Yeah. I can imagine it would be really different in the room, and fun. I mean, fun online, but even more fun in person, especially if you come with a friend or whatever. You get that real visceral somatic.
And that's so important. And it's just like creating the fun and educational atmosphere. The thing is, people see, I have shirts that say SEXEDU, right? Like the Run DMC logo, but SEXEDU. And people see the SEX, they forget all about the EDU. And that's why I wanted to show snippets as well, because people don't know what to expect. People don't know, are y'all actually having sex up in here? If I had $1 for every time a man offered to be the test dummy for the workshops. And I'm just like, nah, unless you're riding dick, you can't be here, because it changes the energy of the space. It's fun. We're learning together. We're cracking jokes. I even incorporate how to use sex toys in your ride game, because we talk about, the different types of orgasm and all of that. And so, like, I really do try to make sure I'm closing the pleasure gap in everything I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even the t-shirts I wear and stuff, like the t-shirts that I sell on my site, the Goody gear, even the t-shirts, they're conversation starters.
Yes, I saw some of those t-shirts. Yeah, we had Penis Genius.
Yeah, that's the one I have on now.
Oh, that's the one you've got on now.
Yeah.
And I'll put links to your website in the show notes for folks who are listening. You have to go and have a look at these shirts. They're fantastic. Do you ship around the world?
I
do.
Just
in the US? Okay.
I do. I ship
because
everywhere,
folks are going to be listening to this podcast in all corners of the world. So
I ship globally. I absolutely do. And anybody that comes from your podcast that goes and buys something, they get a discount code, 15% off with code philosopher.
All right. Check it out, folks. Use the code philosopher for 15% off. Awesome. Thank you, Goody. We appreciate that. And when I say we, I mean also me too. I'm going to get one. So as we kind of head to the home stretch of our discussion, Goody, because I could really sit and talk with you all day. What's next for you? You've got a 2023 tour coming up, American tour, not a world tour.
No, I am. I'm looking at the UK and Australia because those two places have sent emails.
Okay.
And they were like, I have 15 people.
So if anybody in those countries is listening, to reach out and maybe they can support you with organizing venues and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. That would be awesome.
I am very, very glad about that. So world tour and new workshops coming up, or sort of working on thickening the Rideology program?
Well, so I have new workshops. I have a lot of workshops that I do that people don't know about because the top four always stay the top four. And so I'm working on, I'm revamping the website so it kind of highlights that. But I am getting back into collegiate speaking and corporate training. So the pleasure side will still be thriving, but next year is going to be really centered on building out my professional development side of my business. My goal, I'm already a 6-figure sex educator.
Congratulations. That is awesome. I know how hard that is.
Exactly.
Congratulations. That's real.
My goal is to hit my first million before I'm 45. Nice. And I'm 42.
All right.
I'll be 43 in February, so I got to get a move on it. But I think it's possible. I want to expand how I reach people. So again, with the corporate training and the collegiate speaking, and then the tour, I'm hoping to get more press and more media behind it so that more people can become aware of me and the work that I do, and maybe some of my colleagues like you, and that they can kind of tap into the world that is sexuality education. Because we can't run ads on social media even for our professional training.
Exactly.
And which is interesting because I've been hired by Meta twice to train their employees.
Really?
But I was flagged on their platform.
Were you able to tell them that? Because I know, historically we've all had drama with Meta over the years.
Yeah, they know
and
it.
now increasingly TikTok are giving us a hard time.
Oh my gosh, TikTok.
So they know, but they hired you.
They booked me, but I couldn't. So they were keywords that we couldn't use and things like that during the training, which was ridiculous. They're like, "Oh, you can't mention threesomes." And I was like, "This is about queer mental health and access to pleasure. Threesomes, that wouldn't even come up. Like, what kind of savages do you think we are? Like, what is happening here?" So it was that, right? Very much that. And I just hit 38,000 followers on Instagram, which I'm excited about. But that's all organic. I haven't been able to run an ad. You know what I'm saying? So being on people's podcasts and being in media, and that is how people find out about me. So my goal is to kind of sort of leverage that and flesh that out and help grow that. Because if people can see like that little video of Rideology, if people can see that video, they would take the class.
Yeah, but I got to
I need people to share the video. You know what I'm saying? Like I told people, I'll send you the organic video file and you could post it from your page like it's organic, because it hits the algorithm different when people share it out. So it's kind of blocked because it was shared from my page, which is already flagged for certain things. So it's like, I figured out how to, beat the algorithm in certain ways, but then you got to ask people, will they share your stuff? And it's just such a circuitous ridiculousness of censorship, but that's what I'm focusing on 2023 is getting more eyes on my offers, making sure people know what I'm doing, because I'm an educator. The business part, being paid to do what I love, is the bonus. I am an educator. And if we can push the culture forward, you know what I'm saying? Planting seeds for trees we're never going to sit under. You know what I'm saying? We are not going to be here when the sex neutral culture emerges, right? It's still important to do the work and take the steps. We are the ancestors. People are going to be learning about us, and so to walk in those shoes now is super, super important. And that's what I'm focused on. And that's the beauty of what we get to do.
I agree so much. Goody, you are a gift to the world. You have been a gift to me today.
Thank you.
I woke up this morning feeling all kinds of crappy, and I just feel fabulous having chatted to you. So thank you so much for taking an hour out of your day to share your intelligence, your humor, your compassion, and your wisdom. It's so appreciated.
Thank you so much.
Oh no, I really it's wonderful. And I want to support your endeavors in this work. And again, for folks listening, Goody's links are going to be in the show notes. Please go and support her business, buy her t-shirts, take her workshops. Do you have a newsletter that folks can sign up to?
I'm getting better with that. So yes, the Goody Gang is my email list. And I'm so, because, like last week, Instagram lost its mind. It closed a lot of people's accounts. People lost thousands of followers. Like, it was ridiculous. And with the censorship and stuff too, I know that as a sexuality educator, I need to be engaging my email audience. And so I actually have consulted with an email marketer who has given me a plan, and I'm going to execute said plan. So I will be engaging. It won't be a newsletter per se. There will be like consistent reach out. There are certain months of the year that you'll get an email every day. Like November is November. So you get an email every day in November. February is condom month. May is masturbation month. September is sex health month. Those are the months you're going to get an email every day. But it's going to be news you can use. And it's like random things that you can talk to your friends about and, share the information. So
that's the thing. Yeah, because we're at the mercy of these social media companies. At any moment we can get booted off, and that's it. Then we're gone forever. So.
Exactly. And like 38,000 folks, now I get booted off. I got to start over. I don't know that I want to. So I'm encouraging now people to join the Goody Gang, because I am actually fleshing out a platform where they'll have access to all the workshops and stuff, and they can just like pay monthly and get on there and learn asynchronous. Like, I'm really trying to figure out ways to be as accessible as porn, because that's what sexuality education needs to be. I feel like if it's not accessible, it's not revolutionary, and I consider myself a revolutionary.
Right. Wonderful philosophy. Perfect for the erotic philosopher. Goody Howard, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. I've enjoyed myself too.